The rain hammered against the windows of my small apartment in Seattle, mirroring the storm raging inside me. My name is Finnegan, and until a few weeks ago I was a reasonably happy man. I worked as a software developer for a tech company, a job I enjoyed. I had a beautiful wife, Isolde, and a comfortable life. Or so I thought. Isolde and I had been married for 7 years. We met at a coffee shop downtown. I was immediately drawn to her vibrant personality and infectious laugh. She was an artist, a painter with a unique vision. I loved her creativity, her passion, and the way she made me feel alive. We built a life together, a life filled with love, laughter, and shared dreams. But somewhere along the way, things started to change. Isolde began working longer hours at her studio. She became distant, preoccupied. Our conversations dwindled, and the warmth that had once filled our home seemed to fade away. I tried to talk to her to understand what was going on, but she always brushed me off, saying she was just stressed about work. I wanted to believe her. I trusted her. But a nagging feeling persisted, a sense that something was terribly wrong. I started noticing small things, subtle changes in her behavior that I couldn't quite explain. She was always on her phone, texting someone. She'd get defensive if I asked who she was talking to. She started taking extra care with her appearance, wearing new clothes and spending hours getting ready, even when she was just going to the studio. The doubts gnawed at me, eating away at my peace of mind. I tried to ignore them, to convince myself that I was being paranoid. But the feeling wouldn't go away. It grew stronger with each passing day until I couldn't bear it any longer. One evening, Isolde told me she had to work late at the studio. I kissed her goodbye, feeling a familiar pang of sadness as she walked out the door. After she left, I sat alone in the living room, staring blankly at the television. I couldn't concentrate. The doubts were overwhelming me. On a whim, I decided to go to the studio. I told myself I was just going to surprise her, to bring her dinner. But deep down, I knew I was searching for something, something I couldn't quite define. The studio was located in an old warehouse district on the outskirts of the city. When I arrived, the building was dark and quiet. I parked my car and walked towards the entrance, my heart pounding in my chest. I could hear music playing softly inside. I peered through a window, and what I saw shattered my world. Isolde was there, but she wasn't alone. She was with a man I recognized as her business partner, Barnaby. They were embracing, kissing passionately. My breath caught in my throat. I felt a wave of nausea wash over me. I stood there for what felt like an eternity, watching them. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. My wife, the woman I loved, was betraying me with another man. The pain was unbearable, a crushing weight on my chest. I stumbled back to my car, my mind reeling. I drove home in a daze, tears streaming down my face. I parked the car and went inside, collapsing onto the couch. I sat there for hours, numb with shock and grief. When Isolde finally came home, she found me sitting in the dark, staring blankly ahead. She looked surprised to see me. "Finnegan, what are you doing here?" she asked. I didn't say anything. I just looked at her, my eyes filled with pain and anger. She seemed to sense that something was wrong. "What's the matter?" she asked, her voice laced with concern. I took a deep breath and said, "I went to the studio tonight." Her face paled. "What?" she stammered. "Why, I saw you, Isolde," I said, my voice trembling. "I saw you with Barnaby." She didn't deny it. She just stood there, her eyes wide with fear. "It's not what you think," she said weakly. "Really?" "Because it looked pretty clear to me," I retorted, my voice rising. "You were kissing him, Isolde. You were all over him." Tears welled up in her eyes. "I'm so sorry, Finnegan," she said. "It just happened. I didn't mean for it to happen." "You didn't mean for it to happen," I repeated, incredulous. "How can you say that? You betrayed me, Isolde. You betrayed our marriage." I know," she sobbed. "I made a mistake. Please forgive me." Forgive her? How could I forgive her? She had shattered my heart, destroyed my trust. I couldn't even look at her without feeling a surge of anger and pain. "I don't think I can, Isolde," I said, my voice cold. "I think it's over." She broke down completely, sobbing uncontrollably. I turned away, unable to bear the sight of her tears. I walked into the bedroom and started packing my things. I couldn't stay there, not another minute. I left that night, leaving Isolde and our shattered life behind. I moved into a small apartment downtown, a temporary refuge from the pain. I spent the next few weeks in a daze, going through the motions of life but feeling nothing inside. I couldn't eat, I couldn't sleep. I was haunted by the image of Isolde and Barnaby, their faces twisted in passion. I replayed the scene over and over in my mind, torturing myself with the details. I tried to understand why Isolde had done it. Was I not good enough for her? Had I failed her in some way? I couldn't find any answers. All I knew was that she had betrayed me and I was devastated. As the weeks turned into months, the pain began to subside, replaced by a dull ache. I started to focus on my work, throwing myself into my projects. I found solace in the challenge, in the sense of accomplishment. I also started seeing a therapist. She helped me to process my emotions, to understand what had happened and to move on with my life. It wasn't easy, but it was necessary. One day, my therapist suggested that I confront Isolde to get closure. I was hesitant at first, but I knew she was right. I needed to face her, to tell her how I felt, and to finally put the past behind me. I called Isolde and asked her to meet me for coffee. She agreed, her voice tentative. When I saw her, I was struck by how different she looked. She had lost weight and her eyes were filled with sadness. We sat in silence for a few minutes, neither of us knowing what to say. Finally, I broke the silence. "I needed to see you, Isolde," I said. "I needed to tell you how much you hurt me." She nodded, her eyes fixed on her hands. "I know," she said softly. "I'm so sorry, Finnegan. I never meant to hurt you, but you did," I said, my voice trembling. "You shattered my heart. You destroyed my trust. I don't know if I'll ever be able to forgive you." Tears streamed down her face. "I understand," she said. "I don't expect you to forgive me. I just want you to know that I regret what I did. I regret losing you." We talked for a long time about everything that had happened. She told me that she had been feeling lost and confused, that she had been drawn to Barnaby's attention and validation. She said that she knew it was wrong, but she couldn't stop herself. I listened to her, trying to understand. I didn't forgive her, not completely. But I did start to see her as a flawed human being, someone who had made a terrible mistake. As we talked, I noticed Barnaby entering the coffee shop. He spotted Isolde and me, and his face turned red with anger. He stormed over to our table. "What are you doing here?" He snarled at Isolde. "I'm talking to Finnegan," she said, her voice calm. "You have no business talking to him," Barnaby said, his voice rising. "You're with me now, I'm not with you," Isolde said, her voice firm. "I made a mistake, Barnaby. I'm ending things between us." Barnaby's face contorted with rage. He grabbed Isolde's arm, pulling her towards him. "You can't do that," he said. "You're mine." I stood up, my heart pounding in my chest. "Let her go, Barnaby," I said, my voice cold. He turned to me, his eyes filled with hatred. "Stay out of this, Finnegan," he said. "This is between me and Isolde." "No, it's not," I said, stepping closer to him. "It's over, Barnaby. She doesn't want you anymore." He lunged at me, swinging his fist. I ducked and his punch sailed over my head. I grabbed his arm and twisted it behind his back. He cried out in pain. "Let her go, Barnaby," I said again, my voice hard. "Or I'll break your arm." He hesitated for a moment, then released Isolde. I let go of his arm and he stumbled backwards, clutching his shoulder. "You haven't heard the last of this, Finnegan," he said, his eyes filled with venom. He turned and stormed out of the coffee shop. Isolde looked at me, her eyes filled with gratitude. "Thank you, Finnegan," she said. "You don't have to thank me," I said. "I just couldn't let him hurt you." We sat in silence for a few minutes, the tension slowly dissipating. I knew that things would never be the same between us, but I also knew that I had done the right thing. As I left the coffee shop, I felt a sense of closure, a sense of peace. I had faced my demons, and I had come out stronger on the other side. The road ahead would be long and difficult, but I was ready to face it. I was ready to move on with my life. Months later, I heard through mutual friends that Barnaby's business dealings had come under scrutiny. Turns out, he was using Isolde's art studio to launder money. He was arrested and faced serious charges. Isolde, though not directly involved, had her reputation tarnished by association. She moved away from Seattle, hoping to start fresh somewhere new. I never saw Isolde again, but I often thought about her. I hoped that she had found happiness, that she had learned from her mistakes. As for me, I eventually found love again, a woman named Gwyneth who understood my past and accepted me for who I was. We built a new life together, a life filled with love, trust, and mutual respect. The scars of betrayal would always be there, but they no longer defined me. I had survived, and I had learned to love again.